So what happens when you mix two things that the Mercedes-Benz brand has been traditionally very good at, luxury and technology? You get something like this Mercedes-Maybach EQS SUV. It happens to be the first Maybach EV that also debuts the EQS SUV in India. Now with this being Maybach, it's only fair that we start with the rear seat, and here as you can see it's that usual Maybach experience, something like what you've seen with the Mercedes-Maybach GLS. And it really does make you feel so special. Now that starts with this automatic closing door, something that GLS does not have, the S-Class has it. But yeah, that by itself is a great sort of primer to what this car has to offer in terms of its luxury. And you really do realize that it's a very calming space, even right now when we're at a standstill. So let me just take you through everything that's on offer here. To start with, of course, you get split glass pane here, but you can always use the sun blinds and cover yourself off. And then the seats, yeah, they have that sort of softness, that really tight cushioning that you find in these Maybach SUVs. In any case, I can always put it in this chauffeur mode, and that just flattens everything out. Now meanwhile, when you aren't catching up on some sleep in that fully reclined sort of business class seating mode, there is really a lot of equipment here. I think they've gone a step further than even the GLS Maybach. So you start with, of course, this waterfall kind of effect to the center console, very similar. Now there are two options available for the rear seating. This is the higher end 4-seater first class option, Mercedes likes to call it. You get a simpler option too with just a regular bench in the middle, but I guess most people who are buying this car will probably prefer this. You have this opening here first, which holds your heated and cooled cup holder. You have a small pocket here, and then of course your wireless chargers here, and that tab that you have in most of these Mercedes cars too. Now you can control most of the car's functions. All the screens are sort of connected to this, and as you can see, you have all the charging data, the navigation, your phone data, and pretty much everything that you might want to control from the rear of the car. Just all the information that you might want about the car, you can just do it from here. Otherwise, if you are in the mood, you can always use these 11.6-inch screens, but either way Now this particular version has a storage unit here, but you can option a refrigerator here, and then of course there is these tray tables for that full sort of experience. And yeah, you can, it's sort of like something you find on an aeroplane, but yeah, again it sort of does the job pretty decently. And then of course you will want to be connected, and these screens support HDMI inputs and all your charging needs. So you have two HDMI ports here, 4 Type-C charging ports here. The general feel of it is right up there with what you expect from a Maybach. So everything that you see here, even the headlighting, it's all covered in leather, which is great, feels great. You have this vibrant sort of ambient lighting effect, which goes so well with all these Mercedes cars. So all that is present. And I must say that this pinstriping here on the wood, this is, again, it feels great. It is gloss black, but it's finished quite well. But having said that, you can choose a more sober open pore walnut. There's some 3 or 4 options available, so you can choose those here as well. But I must say, specific to this EQS, coming from the GLS, there are a few notable differences. This being an EV architecture, you notice that yes, the floor is a little bit higher, but you don't notice it in this application because of how the seats are done up. That really isn't a problem, say, in this segment of EVs. But what you do get is that EV practicality. So you'll notice that these door pockets, they have this sort of floating effect to them. They really have a lot of space here, and this open central tunnel here with this really cool Maybach monogram. It just sort of uses that EV architecture to good effect to give you more practicality and a better sense of occasion. And then of course you have a 15-speaker Burmester audio system, and I must point out these speaker covers. Now they don't rotate out like in some other cars, but the detailing on them is really quite smart, and it sort of sums up how you generally feel in this car's cabin. Now in case you were wondering, you still get of course heated, ventilated and massaging functions for the seat, and you also get that seat belt butler that Mercedes is quite famous for. But going a step further now, aside from all the ADAS features that are available, this is one of the first few cars in the world that actually gives you a frontal airbag in the rear seat. The Mercedes-Maybach EQS merges the smooth functional design that has become a theme with Mercedes EVs with the quite flamboyant look that goes with its Maybach models. So the front has those wide flowing full width lights, but the blanked out grille with the pinstripes, the Maybach monograms on the bumpers and the heavy chrome will leave bystanders in no doubt about what you're arriving in, right down to the star on the bonnet. You have the usual two-tone Maybach look with the chrome surrounds around the glass area, the D-pillar and a fixed footboard with more Maybach badging. More flash comes from these solid 21-inch Maybach wheels with the 22s being an option. At the rear you have the EQ theme lighting with the winding light bar design around the rounded boot section, but more chrome again has been added in the bumper. Now just like the EQS sedan, you can't actually open this bonnet, and you use this quite neat arrangement here, very unique way to sort of fill the washer fluid. But that also means that broadly it's based on the same EV architecture as the EQS, and you have some very similar specs. Now you have a 122 kWh battery pack which gives you about 600 kilometers of WLTP range, and the power outputs, again it's got a dual motor setup, also all-wheel drive. It gives you about 658 PS and 950 Newton meters, which should get you from 0 to 100 in about 4.4 seconds and onto a 210 kmph top speed. Now again you have air suspension and 10 degrees of rear wheel steering. Now this is one thing that is different over the sedan, of course, is the ground clearance. You get 185 mm, and this solves one of the big issues that we had faced with the sedan earlier. Here's a look at the features and safety equipment that the EQS Maybach offers. Now all the luxury and sophistication isn't just reserved for the back seat of the Maybach EQS. To start with, in the front, just pressing the brake pedal shuts the automatic doors, and you can actually control all the doors right from the screen here, which is quite useful, just like how you could control the seats from here. But aside from that, the design itself, it's really modern Mercedes look with the smooth flowing, very organic shapes to it. But again, I must say it's the details that you notice. For example, this smooth seamless vent with the rose gold finishing, which is a sort of Mercedes EV sort of theme. These turbine style vents, they all feel really high quality. Same with this wood that I just spoke of at the back seat, all of that is here. And then of course you can't miss this massive 55-inch glass panel, which then holds the 3 screens for what Mercedes calls the hyper screens. Now the screens themselves, they aren't very different from the regular EQS. You have more or less the same functions with all the charging data, the really great charging data, the range maximizing functions, the consumption data, which really does help you. So all those are more or less similar to what you might expect in a Mercedes EV, and you have that similar zero layer theme. So even though there is a lot going on here, you do get used to it. But having said that, again, there's no physical buttons here to speak of. Everything is through these capacitive panels or through the touchscreen. So yeah, that's something you will have to get used to over time. But Mercedes has really gone to town with the Maybach branding this time, and you see it everywhere. You see it on those really well done pedals, you see it on the steering wheel, you see it on these cushions on the seats. So you will not miss it for any other car. And again, going with that, you notice these seats. Now again, they are especially adjustable. They have a lot of support and bolstering to it. It's very different from what you might get with the regular EQS. And there's more of that EV practicality put into. For example, you have this really open space in the middle, which holds, as you can see, a lot of items here if you wanted to. There's 2 charge ports here. And even this central tunnel, it looks quite compact, but actually holds a lot of things. There's a deep pocket here for your wireless charging, for your cup holder. There's a big space here. And this central pocket too is very deep. And again, like at the back, there's as many charge ports as you could possibly want. And yeah, in case I forget, again, you get heated, ventilated, massaging functions for both the front seats as well. Now, aside from all the physical differences, there's also some difference in the graphics in the screen. So you get this rose gold and blue theme for the graphics on the instrumentation and even on the home screen here, which again is meant to sort of complement the cabin. And you also get something called the Maybach driving mode. Now this goes a step above comfort mode. Think of it as a comfort plus mode. And the main aim with that is to just make sure that body movements in the upper half of the car are more stable than what it might be in a regular Mercedes SUV. The Mercedes-Maybach SUV launches in India on September 5th and is expected to start from Rs 2.5 crore ex-showroom. What do you think? Do you think a hyper-luxury EV SUV is a good fit? It doesn't have any competitors as of yet, but a car like this, will it work in, say, a crowded city like Mumbai? Let us know in the comments.